Hi everybody, it's Hannah with Hannah's Heirlooms. I have a really beautiful necklace I want to share with you today. I got this and kind of went on a deep dive learning about it. I really love glass beads and I found this online for sale, and it was described as satin glass. Now, if you're new here, I absolutely am obsessed with glass beads, specifically vintage glass beads. So I do often search satin glass or different types of art glass beads, Venetian and Czech beads, just to see what's available. So when I saw this, it really intrigued me, and it looked a little more organic than what normal glass beads look like. So I have a couple of examples here. I have actual satin glass, I have cat's eye glass, and then I have this gemstone, this mineral that I've actually had for quite a while that looks very similar to this. And when I saw this, I got excited and I was like, well, maybe it's a gemstone. So I did a Google lens. That's one of my best friends. I took a picture, used Google Lens, and I found that this was actually antique. People were describing this as selenite and also feldspar. I thought, that's really interesting. And as I dove in, I thought maybe this is selenite, because I bought this at a crystal shop years ago and it was sold to me as selenite. Well, I searched, okay, what is selenite and then what is feldspar, because it was also advertised as a feldspar. And come to find out, they're actually two totally different minerals. Feldspar is a type of silicate minerals, and there's all different types depending on the chemical composition of it. It could have sodium, potassium, and calcium, and it's a very abundant mineral. Stones that you would recognize or know about, that's a feldspar, is like labradorite and sunstone and moonstone. They all are types of feldspars. Well, and feldspar it's not super hard stone. It's actually a 6 on the Mohs hardness scale. If you're not aware of that, that's like something in geology that all stones and minerals are rated against the hardness of diamond, which is the hardest at a 10. So a 6 is fairly hard, kind of in the mid-range. And when I looked up selenite, it's actually got a hardness of 2. It is a very soft stone. So I also was seeing this other word, satin spar, and I was curious, well, what is that? So technically satin spar and selenite are both what is called gypsum. It is a type of mineral that's super soft. It is, Mohs hardness scale 2. It's a more, broad term for a huge range of minerals that are also very abundant throughout the world, can be found everywhere. Selenite is actually much different than what these are. These are actually both satin spar. I always thought this was selenite. I was told this was selenite. It's actually different. It's a very transparent type of gypsum. And then this is satin spar, which has a very fibrous, it has these striations, and this little flash of light hitting the stone is called chatoyancy, which you find in cat's eye glass right here in the green, and also in satin glass. You all get that effect in all these different stones and the glass. So this right here is technically satin spar, which is what I have here. I heard it's just terms have gotten interchanged, within the industry to try to sell something up. So somehow this became known as selenite when it's not technically that. They're in the same family of gypsum, but this is satin spar. And I want to show you how soft this stone is. We'll see it on here as well, but there's a lot of marks on this from it, you know, being moved around. I've had this for years, but I don't mind doing this. It's my own. But if I take my fingernail, you see that dust come off. So this is much softer than glass, even softer than your fingernail, obviously. It is a very, very soft stone. Gypsum's actually used in drywall. I didn't know that. It's used in soil amendments. It's used all in construction. It's used in quite a lot of things. And it's not a very popular stone to use in jewelry because it breaks easily. And it doesn't do well with water. It'll just kind of, you know, erode away. So you really don't want to wash these. So here's this beautiful satin spar. You can see the bead holes here where they're kind of have that matte finish. It's from them rubbing against one another. And I'm actually very surprised none of these are cracked. So I was seeing prices online for anywhere between $150 to $260 for these carved satin spar beads. They were very popular in like the late Victorian era, the late 1800s. Satin spar brooches, and they were made as Niagara Fall souvenirs. And I should have a picture up so you can see. And a lot of them had this carved barrel at the end. It looked like a barrel, and it had a picture inside. And when you look through it, it showed different images, attractions around Niagara Falls. And that is called a Stanhope. In case you're curious, they were often used in crucifixes, like pendants. You could peer through the center of it and it would have a prayer that you could see. It's such a cool little, you know, illusion. There really weren't a lot of examples and a lot of history about satin spar jewelry around Niagara Falls. It was an abundant mineral that they would use in the jewelry that they sold as souvenirs. And many of them don't actually survive because of how soft they are. So I think to have this amount of beads and all of them still intact is pretty amazing. I'm not sure if this is originally how it went, but it is strung on chain, which is a good indicator that it's good quality, possibly older. And I think it's also gold filled. So it's just absolutely beautiful. And I'll show another video of this too. It really glows in like low lighting and candlelight. I actually have a lamp that has incandescent bulbs, not fluorescent or LED bulbs, very similar to, you know, candlelight. And it absolutely glows, and you can really see the chatoyancy in that light. So here's another look at it. You can see all the marks, you know, where they've rubbed against things. They are kind of transparent. It's such a beautiful necklace. So I was excited to find that. And I do want to just show these. These are check satin glass. And see, they look very similar to how satin spar looks. It has that chatoyancy. And here's what most people recognize, cat's eye glass. It is a modern type of glass. You do find it a lot in jewelry nowadays. So if you are interested, I have already done a video all about satin glass, check satin glass. I show the differences between cat's eye glass. You know, they're very similar. And I dive right in, go into some history and lots of different examples. Because a lot of the pieces I don't actually have anymore. I actually sold them. So I will put a link to the video down below and probably put it up on the screen as well. It should be up in the corner, like a little link. It'll say satin glass. So that was just my short show and tell video today, and I hope you learned something from this. I know I just learned all about this recently, all because of my love of satin glass, and someone mistakenly labeled this as satin glass. So now I know to keep my eye out for this actual mineral Satin Spar type of gypsum, and it is very valuable. I don't see it come up often, but you can look up on Etsy and eBay were where I found listings for these really pretty antique pieces. So thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you all in the next one.